Hey guys, just before I even get started, there's a few things you need to know. I am not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I am not a psychotherapist, but I am a victim of domestic abuse. But I do feel like that this topic needs to be talked about a little bit today. So, first of all, there are different ways to be a victim of violence. You can be emotionally abused, you can be physically abused, and you can be verbally abused. I think kind of verbally and emotionally kind of goes hand in hand because the emotionally abused kind of goes with the verbal because whatever you're being told verbally is also emotionally scarring you at the same time. It brings down your self-esteem, being told you're ugly, you're a badass, you're a bitch, you're a cunt, just the names. I don't ever recall ever being emotionally abused in that bad sense. I was more or less pushed away and cheated on. And that can also be a very, very bad way to be emotionally abused when your loved one is constantly cheating on you and there's nothing that you've done wrong. You're staying committed to the relationship. But there's other things that are also verbally and emotionally abusing. Um, for instance, making your loved one choose between family members over you. Um, that is a very controlling situation. That is when controlling becomes very abusive, because you're holding something up that somebody really, really wants, but you're also holding up something that is very dear to them. And this can be a girlfriend or a boyfriend making you choose between a family member, a mother, a father, a son, a daughter, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, anybody in the family. And a lot of times this boils down into purely jealousy. And, and in that frame of mind, there are some deep psychiatric issues in that. Um, I'm kind of dealing with that right now. It's not my husband that's doing it. Um, I have somebody in my family right now that has been made to choose. And as a mother, that is very hard, because you can't hold something up that somebody loves so much and be told, well, it's that person or it's me. Well, first of all, people, I was in another relationship where the mother made my loved one choose between her or me. And of course, he's going to choose his mother, but she held the will up in his face. So people can be very, very abusive by being controlling. And I think this is like the worst part of being abused. And people don't look at this as being abused, but it is. And this kind of abuse right here, the controlling, can lead to even worse parts of being abused. It starts out as one small thing, and then it leads to other things. And that's how abuse starts. Abuse starts as being called a name and just taking it. Abuse then goes to maybe a slap, maybe a punch. And then before you know it, not only are you being made to choose between family members or friends or even a job, and then you're also being physically abused. And some people in this circumstance aren't necessarily women. There are a lot of men who are abused. Trust me, there are more men out there. You know, people say, "Oh, the good ones are taken." Well, sometimes if you want a good person, I'm not saying lower your standards, but I'm saying don't be shallow. The good men are the ones that are hardworking. They're the ones that the values and the morals have been sunk in to their minds. They're the ones that have been brought up in a way that um, they had these good work values. They've been taught how to do these things, and they not necessarily have came from good families themselves. But you can find somebody. You don't have to stay in a controlling relationship, because eventually that controlling relationship is going to end your life or a life behind bars. And it's not a good road to travel on. And there's not anything good about a relationship that has started out as controlling. And some people want to think that people are mature for their age. They're not mature for their age. They have you brainwashed. They act like they know it all, but they don't. And life is hard. It comes with a lot of challenges, and you have to find your way. Your parents, your grandparents, your aunts, your uncles can't tell you what your way is. You have to find your way. But once you've been in a relationship that is that controlling, where physical violence has already started, it is time to get out before you have any more time vested in a relationship that is this toxic. My last relationship, that was over 4 years old before I got remarried, was, I'm sorry, I'm starting to get all clogged back up. My psychiatrist kept telling me, you need to get out of this relationship. It is very toxic. It's not good for you. And I kept telling him, I know. But I never got out of it. And his mom pretty much freed me from it when she made him choose between her or me. And in a way, I have her to thank for it. But in a way, I'm really, really not now, but at the time, I was really pissed off at her because our relationship had started to really bloom. And he was actually starting to show his true affection toward me that I knew he had. And but he was never controlling out in public. He really wasn't controlling at all. There were no signs of him ever being abusive whatsoever. Never laid a hand on me, never talked to me on my name, never called me anything. That one time he was upset, he wanted me back. I wouldn't come back. I moved out, and he thought scaring me with a gun was going to work, and he was wrong. So, controlling is one of the first things that you're going to see when you're in an abusive relationship. And when the controlling starts, that's when you need to get out. So I'm hoping that maybe this will help anybody that is in an abusive relationship. Every city has a shelter for battered women and children. I'm not sure about men, because there's more men today that's being abused than ever. And people don't look at men as being abused, because it's always the women that's being abused. But men are the same way. Men think that they have to take it from a woman that's calling them out of their name, that's being abused, being abusive, that's hitting them with a broom, a skillet, whatever. And they're also victims. So it's not just women today, it is also men. So if you know anybody, have them watch this video, because this is coming from somebody that is a victim. And I got out. It's not easy to get out. It's not. It's really hard. And I worked 2 jobs. I had 2 kids. I also had help from my in-laws. And it's just, it is very hard to get out. And I'm not going to say that it isn't. He left twice when we lived in Illinois, and left me and my kids. And then I came back to Kentucky, and we separated over 3 years, but we kept trying to get back together, and it just wasn't going to work out. And, the violence was still there. He'd be good for a little while, and then it starts back up. So, there are going to be good days. There's going to be days where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's just like it was when we first got together. It's a honeymooning period. It's going to come back. I mean, if you're with them and you put up with it and you guys are in your 40s and now things are great, a lot of times they outgrow it. Sometimes they don't. But it's up to you if you want to take that chance. But if you have small kids, I'm going to tell you, you don't want to be in that relationship, because it's going to scar your children. And you don't want your children to grow up thinking it's okay to act like this, or it's okay to take the abuse. And, I got out, and I hoped that I had got out in time, but I don't think that I did. I think I did with my daughter. I'm not sure about my son. So, this is all coming from a victim. And, don't be afraid to go get an emergency protective order if you're the one being abused. And go to court. And, he doesn't even have to show up, but you're the one that has to show up. And if you show up, it is more likely that you will get a domestic violence order that lasts over a period of time until you say, hey, I don't want this anymore. I'm going to sign it. I'm going to drop it. That's how that works. If both of you show up, he has to answer questions. You have to answer questions. The judge decides, do we need to make this a restraining order, a DVO that's going to be lasting, or are we just going to drop it? But it still gives you the chance to take care of yourself and your children, whether you're a male or female. But the whole thing is you don't have to take the abuse. And control is part of abuse. So just ask yourself, how far is controlling before it becomes abuse? Only you are going to know the answer to this. So, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please leave them in the comments. And subscribe, share, comment, and ring the bell so you will get any more of my videos on various topics throughout the year. And I hope you guys have a very good day and a very safe Memorial Day weekend. And I will talk to you guys later. Goodbye.